In this video, I am going to be sharing 5 suggestions, 5 strategies for getting the best non-cheesy stock images for your brand that is going to help attract people to you, to convey your overarching story, and to do it in a way that is on brand and consistent. So let's get into it. If we haven't met before, my name is Kaye Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. I have an incredible flagship course called Brand New Brand that has now had over 250 students go through that curriculum. One of the lessons in there is all about how to curate stock images and other photography for your brand. So if you want the in-depth lesson plus the other 21 videos of every other aspect of building your brand, I highly recommend checking out Brand New Brand. I am highly particular about creating and curating images that work for brands. And I want to impart the biggest lessons that I've learned alongside the biggest mistakes that I see brands making so that you don't make the same mistakes. Let's get into the 5 lessons. Lesson number 1 for choosing amazing stock photography is to focus on representing the lifestyle and the outcome of your product or service, not the problem or the symptom. I'm sure you've been on some health practitioner's website, say a chiropractor. I don't know why I always pick on you chiropractors, I'm sorry. But I've seen so many health-focused websites, chiropractic, physical therapy, etc., nutrition, this is a big one, where people show the symptom, like they show the person with like the aching shoulder, like with that like overlay of like red heat coming off of their shoulder, and the person's like in a grimace, or like holding their back and hobbling, or like the bulging belt and the pants that won't close in the case of nutrition and diet. And none of that encourages or inspires your ideal client. What we actually want to do is to entice them with the outcome, with that aspirational identity that they're going to get from buying your product or service. So if you are a wealth manager, show people who are living their best life in retirement. If you are a business coach, show people on stages, show people living a successful freedom-based life. This is all really important. So we want to show not only the identity that your person might like identify with now, but the best parts of it. Like the parent that they're not like in the middle of a mess crying tears of postpartum depression. We want to show the parent that's like having fun with their child, like the house is kind of put together, and it's not about being perfect, it's about showing the desired outcome that your product or service creates for people, because that is what is subconsciously going to magnetize people towards your brand. Second advice for curating amazing stock photography is to keep the style consistent. Create some guidelines around the types of photography that you're going to use. Often people resort to using the most literal, symbolic representation of what they do. So you'll see like those Scrabble tiles of some keyword related to the business, or you see a little drawing of a person who's like climbing a mountain or starting a race. Yes, this might work if we are a hero archetype or perhaps the explorer archetype brand, but most of us don't need to be using cheesy vector-based drawings for our brand, it's not going to connect with people on that emotional level. So be consistent about the types of photography that you're using, and then also pay attention to the overarching color palette that is showing up in the image. So make sure that it either complements or is in alignment with the rest of your brand colors. Also pay attention to the overarching like filter or style. You don't want to have like a 1900s like yellow hue over everything if you're a futuristic tech focused brand. That's an extreme example, but hopefully you're getting the sense. Typically I stay away from those overly edited, overly filtered images and stick to things that look more like real life, unless we're being really intentional. For example, for a magician archetype brand where we really want to show something that feels out of this world, then we might look for some different like camera filters or post-production filters that have been added to an image, but that is used very sparingly and not for very many brands. So pay attention to the colors, the effects, and the actual content of the images, and keep it consistent through all of the places that you show up. Step number 3 is to make sure that you are including a diverse representation of your ideal clients in the images. You're not necessarily going to have a picture of an 80-year-old woman if your target market is young parents. It just doesn't really make sense. But if your target market are people who are transforming their lives through spiritual seeking, just as a random example, we're going to want to make sure that we are inclusive in the representation of our images. So there should be, if you work with both genders of clients, there should be men and women. There should be people of different races. There should be people of different ages. So we're balancing it a bit because we want to make sure that it resonates with our ideal clients. We don't want to have anybody that is completely outside of our ideal target market. And we also want to let people see themselves in the images. So have different nationalities, different races, have different ages and different bodily shapes and representations and abilities. All of that is really, really important as a human here with this influence that you have as a leader of a brand. Be sure that you are being inclusive. Step number 4 is to be very careful about the legal considerations of the images that you are choosing. You cannot, as a brand, just choose images off of Pinterest or off of Google image search or off of some random website and use it for profit in your brand and in your business. I will fully admit I am not a lawyer. There's some gray area with using images for educational purposes, like on your blog posts, or potentially on social media, but to just cover your butt and make sure that you're doing things in the right way, choose images on websites that you are legally allowed to use. I'm going to share some of my favorite examples after the 5th lesson of my favorite places to source images from. And our final lesson of stock image curation tips, number 5. Remember that we're connecting to people on an emotional level, and our unconscious mind speaks in symbolism. So don't be afraid to include some like background images or texture of images that are more symbolic than literal. So perhaps you are a hero archetype brand and you want to demonstrate like achievement, hard work, overcoming challenges. Using an image of a mountain might be a really great symbol for demonstrating that. Or maybe you're the caregiver brand and you want your brand to feel very welcoming and relatable and accepting. So having maybe like a imperfect knotted wood grain that reminds us of sitting at our grandmother's kitchen table is really great, subtle, symbolic imagery that you include in your brand. If we're communicating luxury, maybe it's more a texture of like white marble or metallics, these kinds of things that feel like our brand. So stretch your imagination, look for symbolism that is a representation of the themes of the story that your brand tells, and include some of that type of image as well. All right, my favorite places to source brand imagery from. So know that there's going to be some free places. So I love Unsplash, they're fantastic. Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S, is another great place to source free, royalty-free images, meaning legal for you to use in your brand. Those are two of my favorite places. There's also a lot of paid sites, and this is great if you want to make sure that your images are a little bit more high quality or perhaps a little bit more unique to your brand. My favorite one of all, and it happens to be a little I don't know. Expensive is subjective, right? But it's more expensive than some of the others. But I really love the website Stocksy. So Stocksy with a Y at the end is extremely high quality images. But because it tends to be a bit more expensive per image, I use these in more VIP, high leverage areas of my brand, like my website or a really important presentation. For less important images, I might use iStock Photo, and I also really love 20, so spelled out the word 20 and then the number 20.com. This is a user submitted paid stock image site, so you can often find images that are a bit more authentic, a bit more real feeling, because they are not all submitted by super professional photographers. Some of them are just more real life feeling. So they can be really great for social media, for example. If you're looking for more diversity, all of these sites have gotten a lot better over the years of representing a more diverse set of humans in their images. But if you're seeking that out, I also recommend Create Her Stock and then nappy.co. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what's your favorite place to find stock images in the comments. And if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up. It is super helpful with the iTube, with the YouTube algorithms as a content creator. If you give me some of that algorithm juice to reach more humans. All right, till next time, I'll see you guys later.